Hannes Holm and Rolf Lassgard, congratulations on the Oscar nomination for your film, A Man Called Ove. How did it feel when you got the news that the film had been nominated for Best Foreign Language Film and also for Best Hair and Makeup?
For me, it was like when I was 10 years old, living in Sweden, it's all these things with ice hockey. And we were always competing in the 60s and 70s when I was a child with Russia, with the Soviet Union. It was the same feeling because I was sitting in a room at the production office and then I heard this Wah! Scream. And I felt like a 10-year-old boy when Sweden scored against Russia. That was exactly the same feeling. I don't know how it was with you.
I think it was similar, but maybe in another spot. The strange thing for me was that I mean, the nomination was popping up on the computer, and then suddenly a journalist called me, and before the nomination was popping up on the screen, he said, "You're nominated." And I don't know. It is about this thing with technique. Maybe he had some line to the. And it was delayed to Sweden or something, but that was rather strange.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations again. Hans, where did the idea for this movie come from?
From Annika. From my friend Annika. No, she's the producer, and the production company in Sweden bought the rights. It's a best-selling novel. It was a best-selling novel in Sweden at that time. Now it's a best-selling novel all around the world. But as a normal, intelligent director, I rejected the offer because I didn't want to ruin, the book for all the book lovers. They can be so aggressive when it comes to adaptations. When you love a book and it made a movie out of it, everybody often get very disappointed. So I really didn't want to do A Man Called Ove. But after reading the novel, I couldn't resist because it wasn't a movie about a grumpy old man. It was a fantastic love story, and I was really surprised. And that's the best way to see films, when you are surprised that it's not what you expected.
And what made this kind-looking man the right person to play grumpy old Ove?
Yeah, actually, I read the script before the book. And I saw it was a fantastic character to play because, I mean, in the beginning he seems to be like one person, and during the story it's like small Chinese boxes that are opening, and you see others different side of his person, and that is a big challenge for an actor, and yeah, it's in one way it's a dream character for an actor to play.
Well, you're certainly helped by some very impressive hair and makeup. I actually had the opportunity to talk with the hair and makeup artists just yesterday, as a matter of fact. And they talked about how it really, there wasn't much of a plan for extensive makeup before you started the film, but then when they saw it, it really made the character come to life. Can you talk a bit about that?
Yeah, we started to talk. I mean, I think it was about half a year before we should start shooting the film about the look of Ove, and we were working with this old grumpy man, and how should I look with my? I mean, my generation is the generation that keep very tight to youth. I mean, we wear t-shirts and jeans until 80 years old, and the Ove has nothing to do with that. He's like my father's generation of a 59-year-old guy. And Ove and Eva, the first to say, we gotta get rid of your hair. And then they made a computer picture of me without hair. And when we saw that picture, it said, okay, there is the look. And for me personally, you of course is a little bit nervous because you can see something done on the computer, and then it must be alive to see it, and that was even better, and it was a door opener for me to the character, for my imagination, how to get the mask alive, if you know what I mean. How does he move? How does he behave? How does he talk and everything?
And I must add something. It's so complicated to cast a novel screenplay for adaptation from a novel, because every book reader are their own casting directors. So every book reader knows what Ove looks like and so on. And that was such a brilliant idea to invent a person nobody know that it wasn't Rolf Lassgård playing Ove. It was Rolf Lassgård playing Ove, but it didn't look like Rolf Lassgård with the hair. Yeah.
Right. It is a very striking difference, just having watched the movie recently and seeing you in real life.
Is it much older in real life?
Not at all.
Not at all.
So you mentioned the book, and the movie does unfold a lot like a novel, with these flashbacks that help give us some context into Ove's past and how it made him into the man that he is today. Adapting the book into a screenplay, were there a lot of changes that you had to make it cinematic, or what was the process like?
You always have to do that. You have to slaughter the book, and as a screenwriter, I was a bit shy in the beginning because I felt like a thief stealing the story from the novelist. But after a while, I realized that if you read a book and you tell the story to a friend, you're not telling the story from the book. You're telling your own version of the book, and that's made me to write much easier, because okay, I will do this my version of the book, and it's. You also have to learn the characters, because many times you have to write scenes that are not in the novel, and you have to write pretty new scenes not existing, and that can be a bit shaky because the novelist is obviously the person who knows the characters best, and so on. We for example, we have a different ending. The film ends in another way than in the novel. And I don't think Fredrik Backman has said anything about it. No. No. But we have a ending scene in the film where they finally meet each other. And we couldn't do a film about a person so much in love with his wife and not meeting her any time in the film.
Right, absolutely. So there's a lot of comedy that comes from how cantankerous this character is. Was it a challenge balancing the comedy and the pathos, and I mean for you as an actor as well, pushing the character too far into unlikability?
Yeah, it was a balance all the time. I mean, with the comedy, I saw already from the beginning that you can do this story in two ways. You can do it like only a comedy, a funny guy, angry and so on, and you can laugh with him. But I mean, we decided to take this serious. I mean, then you will get the comedy on the way if you just play it deadly serious. But of course there was problems, because when you read the book, these hanging scenes, I can feel that they are much more funnier, because you are a little bit safe when you read a book. But when a person actually stands up on the chair and puts the rope around his neck, that is really scary in one way. So and still we try to keep. I remember we took different takes when it's knocking on the door and he stands there with the rope around his neck, and just to find the right balance, because you have to believe that he's trying to kill himself, and still it's a little bit funny that every time he does it, something disturbs him.
Right.
I personally love also the many of the Italian movies from the 60s and 70s, using humor and drama, connecting them together. Every day we have humor in our lives, and every day we have drama in our lives. I don't know why they're so separated sometimes. I love to have both things in the stories.
Well, I think that there's a lot of truth that comes from the situation in the film, and therefore the comedy is able to come out of it naturally, along with the drama. So it's a very, very skillful balancing act there.
Yeah, exactly. And it's Rolf has done a lot of drama, and I've done a lot of comedy. So it was a good meeting between us. So we helped each other. A blind leading a deaf.
Yeah.
Talk about the character played by I'm going to butcher this name. Excuse me. Bahar Pars is your neighbor. It's the kind of role that could be kind of cliched, right? I mean, the nice young lady who warms the cold heart of the old man. But there's a lot of truth to the relationship. Can you talk a little bit about that dynamic between the two of you?
I think we were talking already from the first meeting when she is backing in to his mailbox. And there is the first connection, because I think she is the only person from the beginning when he says, can't you read Swedish signs? And she doesn't do like everybody else, keep quiet or they get very mad. She immediately asks him in his own way. I mean, I'm not the one who's driving, she said, in the same temper. So there is a connection already there before they even know it. And I think Bahar was talking a lot about this to get away from the cliche that it is something that she is a lady from another country, a Persian lady, but we didn't so much, not such a big deal about that. It was more that was, of course, she was there from there, but this meeting between them was more important. And that made, I think, a lot of people in Sweden, they found out that in one way this is some kind of how integration should happen in one way. It just comes natural because people meet and see each other.
Right. And what did he give you as a director that helped build that relationship?
I think we were very open when we prepared the film. We already started to talk about this, and we talked about it all along the way. And I remember there's a long shot in the film when Ove turns and they are really connecting for maybe just 20 seconds, and Hannes made a very, very long walk with them together where they start to laugh together in the first time, and you made it much more like it. It was like the sentence of the whole movie was in that long walk.
And he's not telling you one thing, that Bahar Pars, she was stalking Mr. Lasgård before the shooting started. Yeah. You should have gone to the police.
Yeah. It was.
Tell him what she did.
I mean, we met in an elevator on a theater, and it was a similar situation with a very happy girl, and we didn't know each other. And in Sweden, when you go by an elevator, often you're very quiet. I mean, nobody speaks. But we started to speak in that moment, and there was nothing more than we had birthdays the same week or something, and said bye. Then it took one more week, and suddenly I should do a testing for Ove, and there she were again, and that continued all the time. When I should go with airplanes on to Berlin or something, who was there? Absolutely. So it was a little bit the similar thing. She didn't give me a lot of food. No, she didn't.
Rolf text me pictures of him and Bahar Pars on the plane, on the airport, and you were so sour, like. It was such a strange situation. But as I said, it's very important. Just don't go to the cliche. It's important to, and also put the story first. Don't do so much about talking about the refugee problem or the immigrant problem. Let's do the Ove story, and the other things will come.
One of the great qualities of the movie is the way that you create this world that the characters inhabit. I mean, there's all these neighbors and other people kind of floating around, and you do a really good job of creating a sense of place in this community that they live in. Can you talk a little about that?
Yeah, we in this, when Sweden was a rich country in the 60s and 70s, we built thousands of these kind of semi-attached houses, and they are very common in Sweden. So we really have to find the semi-attached house, the Ove neighborhood area. So we looked for maybe 2 months to find it, and it was so funny because we were like 7 or 8 people getting out for 3 cars, and every day we were stopped by the local Ove. The local Ove was standing and, "Stop! Who are you? You're not allowed to park here. You're not allowed to walk here." And then I got 2 months to study different types of this Ove character, and then we found the right place. The photographer just fell in love with this little street, and it happened to be in the same town where they produce the Swedish car Saab. They don't, they don't do the Saab car anymore. But it was the same town, and they had this little Saab museum. So you know, we had an average budget. We didn't have so much money for this film, but we could, for free, borrow old Saab cars where we can use in the film. And we, when we in the film, put up all these signs. When Ove put up all the signs, the "Don't park here," "Don't go walk," and so on. The people in this neighborhood, they want to keep the signs when we left, so they're still there.
In addition to the Oscar nomination, the film was very well received by audiences. Why do you think the film has had such an impact on people who have seen it?
I think, first of all, it was released after the book, after the novel, because the novel in the States, that's, we heard it went directly to #1 on the list. So of course that was that maybe make people curious about the film. So I think that has to do is the first step. Yeah. And then when they see the film, they start to talk about it. But of course, when you have an opening with a film that you see in one way Swedish, and it should meet an American or a French audience, you're always a little bit nervous. How is it going to work here? But we are very happy that it works so very well.
And I think it's also about timing. Like as I said, love. Like today's with the political situation now. I think a film about a grumpy old man meeting this immigrant woman, and things evolve, and conflict starts, and then we have this kind of ending, a good ending. Everybody's happy. I think it's a kind of timing that people want to see a story like this right now.
Absolutely. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much, and congratulations again.
Thank you.
Good film behind you there, Wolf. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that movie.
Yeah. Nice to talk to you.
Nice talking to you as well. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Have a good